out of your own Hydra to gain soul charges. There's 2. Get our HP back. All right, so let me just pop this thing real quick, and then we'll get. All right, so we got 3 soul charges, right? Okay. What used to happen with the soul charges on Soul Collector, which is this perk right here that says 10% dark magic damage for each soul collected up to a maximum of 6. When a spell is cast, consume all collected souls. So what used to happen was, if you cast Ray of Darkness on the very first tick, and for those of you that don't know, the way that Ray of Darkness works is it ticks every 10th of a second for 7 seconds, okay? And you can move while you cast it. So it's a really damaging ability now because of the damage scaling, but what used to happen is the soul charges would get consumed on that very first tick, that very first 10th of a second would consume it, and it would make this worthless for anything other than running Dark Reflection, where like if you have it stacked up, the dark magical damage that stacks up on Dark Reflection would end up stacking into the reflected hit. So if somebody hits you, Dark Reflection ends up benefiting from Soul Collector. But they changed it. So now it lasts for the full duration. So if you watch the little buff, right, it's not dropping. And it doesn't drop until the spell ends. See, and then it falls off. So what that means is that the buff exists during the duration of the cast. What that also means is if you get hit and Dark Reflection procs while you barrel stuff someone, they get hit for the boosted Dark Reflection while you're hitting them with a boosted beam. Okay? If you look at the math, which is ridiculous, so this is a 7 damage staff. Meme Beam, or I guess we should rename it to Dream Beam now, gets 100% damage scaling. So if you do 7 plus 12, right, because it's 100% damage scale, times your magic power bonus, which in my case is 27.8%, okay? And then you add the 60 from this and 10 from my perk, because I have a perk right here that says 10% damage bonus, right? So it's 70% on top of the 27, right? So now we're at 97. So it's times 1.97. It's 37.43 damage per second using a white magic staff and no plus damage gear, because I don't have any plus damage gear on. If you had plus damage gear on top of this, then that gets added on top at the end. So you can get up to plus 11. That's 48 DPS. 48 damage per second times 7 seconds. Right? And I think it only ticks 6 times, actually. So it's 290 damage using a white staff if you had plus 11 damage on your gear, like on your jewelry and shit. So if you add, but if you have like a purple staff, that's 10, right? So you'd add another 3, and then that gets scaled. The 3 damage on your weapon gets scaled by your magic power bonuses. The weapon scales based on magic power bonuses. So you would get another 97% of another 3 damage. So you would be at like almost 6 additional damage just because you had a purple staff instead of a white one. So, right? Like just crazy damage scaling. Hits like a truck. And that's having a 27% magic power bonus. Like you can start like you don't even have to do the math to like imagine what that looks like when you start getting like 50 and 60%. Because now you're doing like 100+% additional damage, right? It hits like a truck now. Okay, yeah, that was a lot of numbers, I know. But a simplified math breakdown is something I'll put up on the screen for y'all, and I just want to kind of drive home why this is important. A base kit Warlock used to be a magic staff with 6 damage per second using beam. The beam used to be half this much damage, right? Like it's now 12 and it used to be half that. And now it's a 1 damage crystal ball that you get instead of a 5 damage staff with a 12 damage beam. This means that the base kit performance is roughly the same, but the scaling is considerably different given how the perks work if you choose them. Now, this would not be modified by the old perk because it would fall off first tick instead of lasting through the beam cast. So you got no real benefit from Soul Collector at all. But you did get the 10% dark damage perk. So you would end up somewhere around like 15.4, which was garbage, using a base kit. Now, the new kit is 12 spell damage plus 1 from the crystal ball, which is 13 times 30%. So 30% scaling is 16.9 DPS, which is then modified by Soul Collector now because Soul Collector works, which I just showed you. So if you do that for the full duration and you get a full stack that goes, this then gets increased even further by the 10% dark damage perk. So instead of 17-ish DPS, the base kit gives you 26 because the added amount of spell power bonus basically doubles the damage output of what you had in your original kit. So with a full stack of Soul Collector and the 10% dark damage perk, you're getting twice as much damage out of this kit versus the old one. And if you use a staff instead, that's with a not even white, a garbage like junk quality single 1 damage crystal ball does 26 DPS. So that also means like a junk spell book is 26 DPS. That same base kit though with a white staff that's 25 gold from the merchant gives another 6 damage on top of that crystal ball. This means that the base kit just with a white staff is 19 damage. So 12 damage from the spell, 7 damage from the staff, which is then doubled by the Soul Collector stacks, the dark damage perk, and your base kit magic power bonus. So a base kit with a white staff, that's it, is a 38 DPS output before any damage mitigation. So this is a massive jump from the old beam build that provided 15 damage per second out of the same gearing. And it is a massive, massive jump because of the benefit now that we're getting from Soul Collector. I think that people are sleeping on this, and I think that's a mistake. Because you can build into builds that do 50, 55, pushing 60 damage per second out of the Dark Beam. You will melt everyone. Not to mention the fact that that damage scaling is then applied to the Reflective Shield. And the reason why this works is because Reflective Shield is not a spell. The tooltips, if you read them for the other stuff, like Soul Collector, just says that it increases dark damage by X amount of percent. It says nothing about whether or not it gets expended if damage reflect applies, because you're not casting anything. It's just a proc. So in the case of Dark Reflection, it lasting through the duration of the beam, you could just cast, if you have enough damage scaling, you could cast beam and walk towards someone, basically taunting them to hit you. And if they do, they're going to take 40, 50 damage from the Dark Reflect on top of the damage that you are doing to them, and they're literally going to kill themselves. The only thing that Warlock lacks here is enough PDR to be able to tank the hit. I could absolutely see like a Templar armor build, like a Cobalt Templar armor build on a Warlock that has like plus armor scaling, where they PDR themselves out a bit and give themselves like the spell reduction perk, and then have like just somebody walk up and hit them and reflect just a ton of damage while they have like a 40-ish% PDR. Be able to tank a couple of hits and just watch someone like kill themselves. I think it'll be amazing to see. I'm going to try and build this over the next couple of days to be able to provide like a point of reference for this. But on the sheets, it looks like it could be like just amazing to play with. So anyway, thanks so much for coming and checking out this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you would do me the solid of following me over at twitch.tv/onepeg and or sub the channel here if you enjoy my content. It really, really does matter. Thank you to everybody that's been coming by the streams and watching the videos lately. You guys are absolutely the best. I genuinely appreciate all of your eyeballs. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.